Welcome to this episode of Talk Commerce. Today I have Sai Koppala. He is the CMO at Commerce IQ. Sai, go ahead, do an introduction for yourself. Tell us your day-to-day role and one of your passions in life.
Sure. Hi, this is Sai here. Glad to be on the podcast here. I am the head of marketing or CMO at Commerce IQ. I've been doing a variety of marketing leadership roles in growth stage companies over the last 10, 15 years in Silicon Valley. And outside of work, I have two boys and they're into sports. So I'm an active cheerleader on weekends.
That's perfect. Sai, before we start getting into content, we'll talk a little bit about go-to-market and about your customer advisory board that you had talked about earlier. I do this thing called the Free Joke Project. I'm just going to tell you a joke, and you just give me a rating 8 through 13. So here we go. I asked my wife, "Will you still love me when I'm no longer attractive?" She said, "I do."
As a married man for 21 years, I'll give that a 12.
All right, perfect. Thanks, I appreciate that. All right, give us to start off. Give us a 10,000-foot view of Commerce IQ. Tell us kind of a little bit about what it does and how it helps your customers.
So we primarily work with CPG brands globally. We help CPG brands optimize their retail media spend, digital shelf, and sales using AI agents and human experts.
Perfect. Talk a little bit about the AI agents. I think about a year ago, I was at eTail West, and AI agentic was the new buzzword, and now it's an old buzzword. But the idea of agentic agents coming and shopping hasn't quite come to life in retail, but on the website and from maybe behind the scenes, AI agents are much more prevalent. Tell us your idea of where AI agents are and where they should be.
In many ways, this is a reaction to what is happening on the retailer side. If you look at Amazon and Walmart, they've been doing it for a while, whether it is winning the buy box or what price you have to bid for your particular keyword to show up on your spend, or what's your share of voice on their site for a particular keyword. That's all automated today on the retailer side. They are using a set of signals, including sales, ratings and reviews, and content descriptions to show the right products to the right consumers. All of that is automated today, right? On top of it, in the last year or so, we are seeing agents like Rufus, Amazon has launched, or Sparky, Walmart, where even the consumer now is engaging agents on the retailer websites to figure out what product they want to buy. So it's no longer your website or your product description page is the front door. It's actually these agents which has been spawned by either retailers or even literally ChatGPT, right? Or is becoming critical in terms of the consumer flow. Given that context, on the brand side, you can't rely purely on your human experts and analysts and human-powered agencies to counter that, right? You need to have automation on your side. Therefore, a lot of this has been happening on the back end, not visible. But increasingly what we're realizing, given retailers investing more and more in agents, brands have to invest in agents to really automate some of these workflows, to be able to react at the speed at which the retailers are reacting.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think the traditional idea of AI or not traditional, what consumers see AI as is generative in making videos or making images, but really the magic is in behind the scenes and empowering, I should say, the merchant to be able to serve up precise content to the users, and even then as a merchant to find places where they can improve. Tell us a little bit about some of those things you've been learning from your customers.
Yeah. Let's take a simple example, right? If you look at retail media, over the last year, and in the latest report we did on 2025 e-commerce in the US, retail media spend actually went up 20% across the board. And by the same time, return on ad spend has gone down about 8 something percent. Your cost per clicks have gone up another 8%. So it's not the most efficient. And today, in most cases, what a brand would do is they would work with an agency to manage their retail media spend. Hey, use my retail media spend dollars and optimize it for return on ad spend. Even with the best rules-based automation, which has been around for a few years, or what people call goal-based optimizer, you probably can do a few hundred automations a day. But if your bid amounts or bid prices are changing second by second, if you use AI and use that to optimize whatever goals you're optimizing for, it could be a CPC, it could be a ROAS, you can do 4,000 plus optimizations a day. You can figure out based on your share of voice. For example, what we do in our case is we use 50 plus signals, including real-time signals on share of voice and inventory availability and things like that, and also keywords. What are the highest performing keywords? What are the long tail keywords where there's not cost per click is lower? So we are able to optimize to the nth degree all the long tail of your SKU items across the long tail of keywords, all using AI, right? That's just not humanly possible. On top of that, we still need the human in the loop, frankly, right? Yes, the mechanics of it, the execution of it, which is in many ways, it's you really don't want a human to do that because it's hands-on keys again and again, right? That is automated, but the strategic aspects of it still is human driven. So you need a combination of both AI from an execution perspective, but at the same time, a human in the loop and human to work with our brands to identify what are the priorities for you, what do you want to optimize for, and therefore coming up with a strategy. So you need a combination of the two to succeed.
Yeah, you've mentioned long tail a few times there. Is a long tail now really in play with, especially with the use of AI, that you can really find these long tail words and these words that people are naturally using to search for in terms of finding your products? Is that kind of the new frontier for PPC?
Yes, it's not just it's accelerating even more, right? Because if you look at how consumers are changing their behaviors, they're asking for specific questions. I'm doing, for example, it'd be like I'm creating a specific recipe and I want to search for items for that. So what item should I purchase? And it gives a list of items. So very much because the consumer discovery is changed to more Q&A style, how humans speak, the agents like Rufus and things like they're also prioritizing those kind of things. So therefore, downstream, the brands also have to optimize their content so that it gets surfaced by the Rufus and Sparkies of the world. So you are right. Because the consumer behavior is changing in how they are searching for stuff on Gemini or ChatGPT, and also retailer websites like Rufus and Sparky, that has downstream impact in terms of how brands need to optimize their content and media spend to surface their product.
Do you think consumers right now are patient with some of these brands? And I've used the Walmart version, and I found it in the very beginning, anyways, not that great. It didn't find what I wanted, and even I would say that Rufus isn't the best LLM out there for finding what you need. And you'd think, since they have such a big catalog and because they have such a huge tech budget, that they could make something better than even OpenAI, right? But are consumers patient right now to deal with what they're seeing and knowing that something is going to come out that's better?
Andy Jassy in the last earnings call said that 10 billion of their transaction on Amazon has come through Rufus. Is there room for improvement? Of course. This is still, I would say, early days in the world of AI agents, right? And the technology is just improving at such an exponential pace. In a matter of a year or two, they'll be significantly better in terms of adapting to consumer needs. Yes, is it ideal in terms of interaction? No, but even with that, you're seeing so much amount of revenue going through it. It'll only get better. So it's no escaping that.
Is there some risk in retail media with LLMs and them suggesting other products? And especially you as a consumer, you're asking for a product or something like a product, and theoretically somebody's paying for that ad, but it's also going to give them something else, right? I think, is there a risk for you to get shown up first, but then something else is going to show up as well?
Frankly, it's early days. I can come up with an answer, but it's early days, still figuring out how these agents are surfacing the right products. We know that they rely quite a bit on ratings and reviews and Q&A, because one of the things they're realizing is the best, because on the one end you have consumers asking like a human being the question, say, what are the ideal products for what I'm looking for? They're reliant quite a bit on reviews, which are also written by human beings to surface the right things, along with PDP description and additional description that fields that are provided. Having said that, it is early days. This is one of those things where the entire industry is figuring out as we speak.
Yeah. You had mentioned to go to market. What is your kind of go to market strategy that has changed dramatically in the last couple of years?
In terms of working with brands?
Yeah, with the brand. Yeah. I'm assuming that the go to market strategy has to change just because of the dynamics of the market and the way it's changing.
Yeah. Look, we were primarily an analytics company a few years ago where we would enable brands to, hey, we can tell you what happened. We can look at all your data from the past and tell you what happened. And then the industry shifted to not just telling you what happened, but more about insights, why it happened. Now we're in a world where we're moving from not just what happened and why it happened, what should you do? How should you fix it? And automation, that's where it comes in, right? In terms of go-to-market strategy, one of the challenges, even though we have completely rebuilt our capabilities from ground up to be more native agents and agentic infrastructure, there is a lot of AI washing, let's say, going on in the industry. Every company out there say, yeah, we are AI too. So one of the biggest challenges for brands has been, I don't know who to pick. There are 50 companies, they all say they do AI. And our recommendation, from a go-to-market strategy, coming back to you, is like, we believe in our technology so much, we are offering free pilot, right? Hey, try it out at no risk to you. We'll work with you and have you actually solve business problems with AI. It's almost AI is afterthought. And so frankly, a brand doesn't care how you're solving. They want a problem to be solved, whether it is optimizing their retail media spend for the lowest CPC or whether it's fixing their content score, right? AI is a technology enabler, and we believe in our technology so much that we are using essentially a free pilot for people to try out the product to see the value. And that's a big shift. I mean, in the past, you would this long sales process, but now we're saying, hey, don't even pay us. Just try it out. You'll know for yourself, is it worth your money or not.
Yeah, I think in the past year now, AI has become the requirement instead of it hasn't, I think a year ago, even people were still bolting on AI to their product saying this is going to be new and exciting. And now if you don't have that as part of your product, people think you're behind the times.
Yeah. So that's another reason people, whether they have anything or not, they'll slap an AI label on top of it.
Right.
One of the interesting things for us, the learning experience for us the last 2 years has been, it's actually building, collecting data and putting some LLM on top of it is relatively easy. The challenge always is LLM, think of it as a really powerful intern, lack of a better word. But what you really need is context. And that's what, because we work with the world's top 20 global brands, we are able to glean in, and retailers too, right? So we are able to provide the LLM context around macro context, like, hey, in the US, we're seeing due to inflationary pressures, people are willing to spend less on the same product, or they want a package with fewer items, right? Or it could be like, hey, Amazon dings you if you don't have 3+ compliant images. Or if it's a category level in the pet food, it could be like, lately we're noticing that any protein claims, those are getting better visibility. Or there's a brand context. Hey, this set of products are lower margin. So all this context is needed to make the right business decisions. In the past, so what we would do in the past is somebody in the company or set of people in the company would know these things intuitively and make decisions. So what we have to do is train the LLMs across all these different contexts. That's how you get the right decisions. Otherwise, it'll just hallucinate, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Sai, what is your prediction now for this year? Where do you think our economy's going? Where do you think retail is going in this next half of the year now?
I think we're seeing a continuation of, I think people call it a K-shaped economy, where on one side, it's essentially a tale of two cities, right? On one side, a significant part of the population is still strapped economically, right? So they're still hunting for low-priced, everyday value kind of goods. So therefore, there's significant pressure on brands to maintain price and not necessarily increase. They're extremely price-sensitive buyers, and their focus there is maintain price and capture market share. On the other hand,
sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
on the other hand, you have a set of buyers, talk about the top 10 percentile, who are willing to pay a higher price for better value. So they're less price sensitive, and we're seeing brands make appropriate adjustments given all the additional costs they've been having lately. So that's kind of what we're seeing in terms of how price is impacting consumer behavior or vice versa.
Perfect. Sai, we have a few minutes left as I close out the podcast. I give everybody a chance to do a shameless plug about anything they like. What would you like to plug today?
My advice to brands out there is AI is fundamentally changing how you can win in the retail business. And yes, there are a lot of solutions out there. My recommendation is pay close attention to the vendors out there. With a pilot, you will see the results. And from Commerce IQ perspective, if you're looking to optimize your content or retail media spend, or identify what the sales gaps are and how they can be improved upon, Commerce IQ has a full-fledged both the AI agent suite plus human expertise to help you.
Perfect. And tell us how do they get in touch with you?
They can send me an email, sai.k@commerceiq.ai or at info@commerceiq.
Perfect. Hey, thank you, Sai. Sai Koppala is a CMO of Commerce IQ. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.